I'm going to show you how to prepare lemon pepper turkey for cooking on the big green egg. This is a very simple recipe. Anybody can do it. There's really nothing to it, and of course it's going to be fantastic because it's going to be cooked on the egg, which everything comes out great. So you can see we've got our bird sitting here, and first step is going to be to get them unpackaged, get them cleaned up, get them rinsed off in the sink here, and then we'll go ahead and get the nice herbs on them and the butter on them, and we'll get them ready to go. So without further ado, here we go. Okay, as you can see, we put the bird in the sink here. We're going to take our kitchen shears, just open them up, open up the packaging, and start getting them cleaned up. Cleaners are ready. Get back to the cutting board. There we go. We're all ready to go. Okay, now that the turkey's washed, ready to go, we need to get our rub mixed up. What we're going to do is we're going to make sort of a paste out of butter and rub, and we're going to put that all over the bird, both under the skin and on top. So we'll go through both of those things. But of course, we've got to make our paste first. So for that, we'll get started with that right now. Okay, so as you can see, we've got a stick of butter, we've got our lemon pepper rub, and basically all we're going to do is mix those together. It's just a store-bought rub. It's nothing overly special. You can actually do this similar recipe with just about any kind of rub you like. So pick your favorite rub, and very easy. So we're going to drop the butter in. We're going to put in the rub, and what we're going to do then is we're just going to go ahead and mix these together. I usually like to use a fork just because it kind of breaks up the butter real good. Kind of helps you get that rub mixed in there, but you know, whatever you like, it works out pretty well. And all we're going to do is blend this together till we get nice, consistent, smooth kind of, well, rub-filled butter, basically. All right, we're pretty much there. So you can see we've got it all pretty consistent. What I'm looking for now as I'm doing this, just looking for chunks of butter. Sometimes you get sort of butter chunks caught in there. We want to try to get those broken down. But you can see it looks pretty consistent. And like we're ready to go ahead and get it on the bird. There you go. That's what you're looking for. Okay, so as you can see, we've got our paste, we've got our turkey, and now what we need to do is cover the turkey with the paste. So we're going to start under the skin. This is really important. It gets it close right up against the meat, and as it cooks, it lets it melt through the meat, really infuse that flavor. So we're going to go ahead and just grab some of this. We're going to lift up the skin here, and you can actually use your fingers to kind of work it open and slide that in there. So get all that up in there. And there you go. And so as I do this, I'm usually continuing to loosen the skin away from the meat, even as I'm putting the paste in there. So it's just a process. It takes a little bit of time, but it's not too difficult. And you want to do both sides, of course. All right. You can see my fingers all the way in there. You can see how they're pushing that skin around, getting to that meat. That on top of that muscle right there. All right, so now we've got it inside the cavity, we've got it under the skin on the breasts, thighs, and legs. Now what we want to do is take our remaining paste here. We want to coat the outside. This is going to help it brown, help it really look nice, and of course add some flavor to the skin. So we really got one more step, and it's a really simple step. All we're going to do, we're going to take the rub, we're going to cover this guy with a nice layer of rub, and then we're going to go ahead and package them up, wait for tomorrow so we can cook them. So let me get my hands washed and we'll get that going. Okay, so now that the turkey's prepared, we're going to go ahead and start on the brine. Now, I'm going to kind of show you an example of what I'm doing. It's really simple. I got a pan with water here and salt. I got about a cup of salt, just under a cup actually for this recipe. So what I'm doing is basically just dissolving the salt in the water. So it's very simple. I'm not going to pour the whole thing in just yet. I'm going to do a little bit at a time. And normally to do this I would use a big mixing bowl or something like that, but I figured this is probably easier to see. So, so we're going to try it this way and see how it goes. But basically you get salt in there, just start stirring it around, and it will go ahead and dissolve as we go. So we take a look here. No more salt in there. Everything's dissolved into the water, and that's exactly what we're looking for. So you're going to do that. You're going to take your full cup. It's going to take about a gallon of water, and you're going to go ahead and do all your salt into the water, blend it all in, get it to dissolve like that. And once you're done with that, we go on to the next step, which is adding the herbs. So we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to get this finished up, and then I'm going to show you the herbs. Okay, So I got all my water with the salt dissolved. So this is a gallon of water. It's got about a cup of salt in it. And it took about 10 minutes to get it completely done. You can see I put it in a big brine bag. So these they sell at the store. Honestly, you can use a big cooler, you can use a garbage bag, anything that's going to hold it. You obviously don't want it leaking. But these are pretty nice. They're heavy duty, they don't leak, they do a really good job with them, and they're not expensive or anything, so it's a really nice thing to use. And you go ahead and put it in here, it's got a zip top to it, so you're going to end up dropping a turkey in there. But before we do that, we need to add some more, because now we just got salty water. What we really want is flavor. That's what we're after here. So we're going to go ahead, and I've got right here, I've got about a 1/4 cup of herb rub. Now this rub does contain salt, which is why I'm just below a cup of salt in the original that's in here. So I just took a little bit out, and then I figured this is going to make up the difference. If you're using an herb rub with no salt, or if you're using another rub with no salt, go ahead and go to a full cup on this, and you don't need to worry about having salt in here. So just keep that in mind, that any salt you're adding, then you want to kind of subtract from here. You don't want it too salty. All right. So we're going to go ahead and drop this herb rub in there. Very simple. And all we do is drop it in there, and that's just going to dissolve in as well. We'll slosh around a bit, get it mixed in, and there you go. Pretty simple, right? So that's there. Now the next thing we add, or the final thing we add to the brine, is vegetable broth. So I've got basically a gallon of vegetable broth, which is about 9 cans of this stuff. These are 14.5 ounce cans. That comes out to just about a gallon. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add this. So what we're really doing is we're doing half water and half vegetable broth. We're adding the salt to the water, and we're adding the herb rub in there. Now the vegetable broth, let's see, does it have salt? It does have salt in it, so be aware of that. So, and that's fine. This is going to make up for the fact that you're adding all that extra moisture in there. So we're going to go ahead and add the vegetable broth and then the turkey, and we're done. That's all you do for prep. And then we let this sit overnight, and then tomorrow we put it on our big green egg, and we fire it up, so we're ready to go. Okay, so this is our last can of vegetable broth. You can see we've got this thing nice and full, and smells great. There's the herbs, the vegetable broth, the salt water. That is our brine mixture. And now all we're going to do is we're going to set the turkey right in there. Real simple. Just like that. There's more than, whoa. We could have done a much bigger turkey in this amount of brine. So what that tells me is I could have done a little bit less from a recipe standpoint, but that's all right. And obviously it gets a little harder to control the bag once it gets full of it. So what we want to do is get this thing closed up so we don't have to spill anymore. And go ahead and let some of the air out. The reason we do this is because we want that bird submerged, and less air, the less space it has to hide from that brine. So we really want it to be really soaking in this brine. All right, so got it all sealed up. Turkey in the brine. We're all set. So we're going to go ahead and take this. We're going to put it in the fridge. We're going to let it sit overnight. And then tomorrow we're going to be ready to go get this thing brined. So you can see the bird in there. When you pick this up, that's how we're going to put it in the fridge. We're going to make sure that guy's floating. So, all right. We'll see you tomorrow.